Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Single in the City, where we are jumping right back into our conversation on marriage. We have our guest here, Justin Gilbert, and I am your host, Genesis Moore, with my lovely co host, Miss T.R. Berry. Thank you guys for all of your comments, but we're excited to jump back in. You ready,
Let's
T?
do it. Let's do it.
Hey, Justin.
Good evening, ladies. Hi there.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. Well, we're jumping right back into our conversation on marriage and the viewpoints of modern millennial men and how they feel about marriage. And, again, sorry, but you are speaking for all men today.
No pressure at all. None.
I have just shifting some gears here.
Okay.
When you think about a family structure, as far as, children and grandma and grandpa and all that other type of stuff, do you think marriage once was more important than what it is now when it comes to that family structure? Or do you think, like, now because we've moved in 2021, like, okay, maybe back in the 50s, like it was like, yeah, mom and dad together. But now it's like, none of my friends I know have parents that are together. Most of my friends have parents that are divorced. So do you think that that is, as far as the family structure is concerned, a wavering, I would say, requirement?
Wow. It would actually seem that it is. But that's because I don't think people are putting I don't think there are people are approaching marriage with the care that they should. So marriages are dissolving, the family structure has become something different that it wasn't in the ages of the baby boomers and that sort of thing. I say that because back then we, men and women were working together and building, especially in our community. It was more about like, okay, well, this structure works best. And there were some ideologies back then. I can even speak on my father. He was forced to get married to his first wife by his father. My father was a young man in the military. He got a young woman pregnant. His father forced him to marry her. Now, that wasn't ideal. And now we are much more concerned with our own mental health and our own well-being, as we should be. However, that did give those kids a family structure, even though it didn't last. So it gets really tricky in terms of like what's right. I know that ideally I would want to raise if I'm to have any more children, I want to have a wife first. Like that's kind of prerequisite for me. Like no more kids before I'm getting a wife, because I've had to really be very intentional about how I'm raising my son as a single man and a co-parent with his mother, so that he gets a balanced or a good clear picture about how a man should treat a woman, how a family works without me being under the same roof as him. So it's more work to do it that way, but it can be done. It just takes a lot more work. So yeah, the family structure has definitely changed, but I don't think that that it's ideal for the next generation, or for the kids to see it this way. But this is just what they're seeing, more often than not.
I think that's interesting, and I can say I think I agree. I can agree on this. You have a point that I think I'm on your side with, because
you got one.
Yep, 1 point. You got one. No, but seriously, like people align parenting and being a mother and father and being a spouse with someone else sometimes I think a little bit too closely. And I think that when you have a family, it's about what's best for the child, period. So if you being with the mother or father of your child is the best environment to raise that child in, go for it. If you not being with them cultivates the best environment to raise that child in, then go for it. Because I'm sensitive to children because they didn't ask to be here. You know, like you asked to be married to this person, you asked to be in a relationship with this person, you chose to have a baby with this person, you knew what it was when, like I said, did you know what it was when you signed up? Children don't ask for any of this. They just like, oh, I guess I'm here, you know, and they have to live with people spend the rest of their adult lives sorting through what happened to them as children. That's literally what we are all in therapy for, is figuring out what happened when I was 7. And a lot of what I personally, you know, went through when I was 7 had to do with the disentanglement of my parents' marriage, you know? And I think that had my parents divorced sooner, I would have been happier sooner. So I think that whatever is good for all parties involved, but most importantly, the child, whether that's in the nuclear home. And of course, it's great because you don't have to worry about, why is daddy leaving? And I thought we should all sleep here. And why can't we be together? And I saw my friend's parents kiss and y'all don't kiss. And he got a girlfriend. Or I see, you know, that, or I have a half brother, a half sister. I get it. It's very complicated being a single parent. But I think that what children will eventually grow up to understand more than anything else when it comes to the dynamics of, were their parents happier within themselves, therefore a better individual parent to them. You know, when they come to the basketball game in the same car and they argued the whole way going and the kid crying in the back seat because they yelling, you see the parent, you missed the turn, but you made me miss the turn. No kids want to go through that. But if both parents come in separate vehicles and both of them bring their own significant others and girlfriends and they see the mom and the girlfriend hug and all of that, they'll go out there and play a great game. And that's what it's all about when it comes to, you know, in my opinion, the family dynamic.
Yeah, I think it's all about, in that situation, creating the normal. Like, you know, we all create our normals for our households, whether it's how you fold towels, whether it's how you make up your bed, whether it's your parents being together or your parents not being together. It's all about cultivating the normals in your life and in that child's life, I think. But I also think, though, that when it comes to, my parents were, you know, married my entire childhood. My parents got divorced when I went to college. Still hit hard, but I was in college, you know. So, and not saying that they have the, you know, marquee, you know, of what a great marriage should be. That definitely was not the case. But it was something about having both of them there, like, you know, that gave me a lot more perspective. And it gave me a lot more perspective on, like my dad, I love him to pieces, but he is a person, he is about him. And so sometimes being about, you know, like he's gonna love you, he's gonna feed you and things like that. But let me tell you something, when it comes to what he got going on in his business, he is about his business and that takes precedence. Where's my mom? She's not that way. Only us, we were the only precedents, you know, as far as children were concerned in the household. And I think that comes with, but it gave me perspective on love. I never felt like my dad never loved me. I just always, you know, and so even in how I am now, when I take my work or what I'm doing is priority for me as opposed to maybe, you know, oh, hey, babe, I can't go out to you today. I got to work. I'm expecting, you know, you to understand because that's what I've grown up with. I've been accustomed to. But for you, it might be, hey, I'm used to how my mom used to love us. You put me first, even if you do have to work, you know, like make it a priority. And I think people don't really spend enough time talking about, especially when you're dating and being single, the emotional intelligence of understanding how a person likes to be loved. And sometimes the way you show love might not be the way that that person receives love, and vice versa. And you're trying to poke somebody to get them to do what you want them to do, but in the standards of what you would want, how you would like to receive, as opposed to really stopping, learning, assessing a person and saying, hey, you might not be perfect, but I see you as a person, and I love you as a person, so let me, I might have to make certain adjustments, but that comes with the compromise of being with someone. But I say all that to say, I think it is more on the woman to be that. It's what we talk about in society and being single than it is for the man. I think men don't always sometimes look at women and say, let me love you for you and how you are. Like for me, I'll be honest, I don't particularly like cleaning my house on Sundays. I do not like doing it. I'll be honest, I do not like doing that. I do it. I bust out my cleaning products. My mom has taught me how to be an excellent cleaner. So even when I hire someone, sometimes occasionally I hire somebody to come and clean my house on Sundays. But even when I hire her, sometimes it's not as good as I could do it. But I would want someone to look at me and say, I know you don't really like doing it. And that's okay. You don't have
Let's
to
hire somebody that we both like to do it.
Right. Let's work on that and that compromise. And what I'm saying is that I feel like a lot of men don't have those, or they're not taught how to have those conversations when they see something in a woman that is sometimes an area of opportunity, as opposed to just stopping and being like, oh, she don't know how to do this. I ain't trying to be her. Axe off my list. Instead of looking at all the great qualities that you're getting from a person. That's just me.
That's very interesting. I think
men find that as excuses, though. Like a man will say, "Oh, I left you because you heat your food for a minute, and I like it for a minute and 30 seconds, and I can't do no girl that like her food cold." Men will look for, when a man want to be out, he will look for any reason to be out too, and those are red flags as well.
My mom always say they're gonna look for how you keep your kitchen, how you keep your bathroom. Them the top two.
Listen, it's very, very important stuff. Like, I think, yeah, knowing ourselves is paramount. Like, how can we really be good to other people if we aren't aware of ourselves in a way that we can actually articulate certain things about our personality and our expectations that, a person should know. I just got hip to this book the other day. It's called 8 Dates. I don't know if you ladies have heard of it, but it's basically, it talks about the 8 areas that people need to have very transparent conversations before they consider getting married. And I think if everybody covered them, we would avoid so much. I can tell you the 8 real quick. They are trust and commitment, conflict, sex, money, family, fun and adventure, growth and spirituality, and dreams. If people sat down and actually discussed these things, made this priority, instead of leaving things to chance or going based off of a feeling and all of this, this stuff that changes over time, and get these absolutes and really open those levels of communication, I think then people will start making very good decisions in terms of who they're choosing to marry and build with. Because yeah, like the feelings, like that stuff, I don't know. I'm even dating differently now. Like I'm kind of being more spiritual. I am being very patient as far as anything. Like I don't even really want to get into like deep physical stuff. I can say it that way. Like I would kind of want to kind of stay away from that, because I understand how that muddies the waters and makes things difficult to really ascertain and be very clear on what you're receiving or what folks are saying, what you're getting. So I don't know. That's just where your conversations were taking me. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that because I think as women and men and just people in general, we look for those things and we look for evidence in those 8 categories while we're dating a person, and we don't even realize that we're doing it. You know, you look for. That's why city girls can come in and where the bag at? Where the bag at? I need
they
somebody
willing to have the conversation. You let her know upfront, this is what I want. Come get this, buy me this. I want that. This is what I need. And a lot of people, they go
the security
appeasing the other person when it's like, no, tell somebody what you like and let them tell you what they like. And if it aligns, go from there. But a lot of people be like, how can I make you happy? And how can you make me happy? And then somewhere down the line, you realize neither one of y'all is really who y'all are, So now y'all both Spider-Man, like, ooh, I'm looking at you and you looking at me, and we both set this up for disaster. But the city girls is like, I'm gonna tell you exactly what it is. And I have more respect for men who be like, you know what, you cute and all, but you ain't the only one. Because I could look back at him and say, you know what, you cute and all, but you ain't the only one. Now let's see. And I think that we have to be transparent in our conversations with people and dating, especially as Christians, because just bringing it back, like a lot of times in the church, a lot of stuff isn't just like straightforward, straight shot, no chaser. A lot of it is, like, you look nice today, but I can see you got a little pounds on you, girl. That chin, and it's like, oh my gosh, you kind of want to say I'm getting fat. They're not gonna just hit there and be like, girl, you didn't gain some weight. What you doing? That's not kind of the always, I don't want to say biblical, but the church approach to it, the institution of it. So I think that we as younger Christians need to be willing to be straight up with each other and with everyone around us, with our parents, with our communities, and that way it's no surprises when you're like, oh my gosh, you weren't a virgin. Like, let's have that conversation the first day. Like, oh my god, yes. I mean, you saw I had a kid. If he has a kid, is he a virgin? Like, come on, you have to have these conversations with people.
Look back on our Thanksgiving installation.
Hey, Dad. I need your help asking Jessica to prom.
Of course. Love is like the ocean. You have to tread the waters.
Dad. That's not the kind of help I needed. Hey, Jessica. Will you go to prom with me?
Yes.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care can't wait to share their first with you.
Wait a minute. Are you glorifying JT and Young Miami? Just to be clear, because it sounds like you're saying the city girls approach is something that you admire because it's transparent. Am I missing something?
I'm not glorifying their approach to dating.
What
I am glorifying is their transparency in their approach to dating.
The method.
Final answer.
Okay. Very interesting. Now, see, the only issue I take with that is that is what we're being inundated these days with, this idea of the transactional relationship. Then people at times kind of say, I want something more, but then, like, that's what the girls turn up to. And this is what the girls are stealing captions from on Instagram, you know what I'm saying? These little one-liners, you know what I'm saying? And yes, finance is important, you know what I'm saying? However, like, the real exchange, like there's so much more to stuff. And I think it's just a limited perspective when that is someone's chief aspiration from a relationship. And I mean, it can work. Some people, that's all they know. And I have a friend of mine. She is like a little ahead of me age wise, but people probably think she might be 10 years younger than me. And to know that she is, when she's approached by some younger men, the conversation out the gate is, yo, you bad, I'll take care of you, I'll pay your bills. Out the gate. Like, that's the approach. It's no longer about, you know what I'm saying, hey, where are you from? What are you passionate about? When is your birthday? What's your middle name? Like, people aren't even taking the time to really unpack, you know what I'm saying, and learn folks. It jumps right to the transactions because people want sex. And they assume that because a woman is attractive, that she is, you know what I'm saying, of the JT and Young Miami tribe. And that's what it's on. So, I mean, you know.
I do think, though, that I think if I could speak, I'm going to speak for most women in this and say it's entertainment, you know, and even in that same, like, a lot of women, yes, we want men that are financially secure and things of that nature. But let me tell you something. If a guy is leading off in a conversation about what he can do for me financially, 9 times out of 10, he can't. And then the other 1% of if he can, you know, do I really want a person where all their value is put in money? Even let's take it back to what you were talking about with the 8 dates, because I thought that was brilliant. Okay. That's one category. Mm-hmm. So even if, like, you know, that's one category that a lot of women are talking about, it might be a category that we feel like kind of got overlooked in the past couple years. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe that wasn't a mandate on everybody for a while. But when you're talking about a whole person, most mature, forward-thinking women aren't thinking only where the bag is. We're also thinking about trust and commitment. And finances is only another way of showing a woman a certain sense of security. And what a lot of women don't say out of their mouth is, we like to be secure. We like to feel safe. We like to feel secure in finances. Like, if I'm in this house, we're not going to get put out tomorrow. We like to feel secure in for, like you were saying earlier about like the territorial nature, even for women. It's for us, we want to feel secure in, I got you, nobody else can have you, because you look at me on a higher level than you look at other women. You know, it's certain things, but again, that goes back to how somebody desires to be loved in a sense. B, the maturity of that person, because if they're only looking at one category out of, if we're using your example, the 8 that are on the list, most women, that's one thing. Like, we want at least 6 or 7, you know, like at least give me 5, you know, something. But, and I think people don't have the transparency in the conversations to say that those 5 can be interchangeable. It might be, you might come to me and say, I can only give you, what was the first one? The trust and commitment. I can give you the finances. I can give you the family, and I can give you marriage, and I can give you what was the other thing? What was one of the other ones you put on there?
Sex.
Fun and adventure, sex, dreams, growth and spirituality.
But see, but then that all goes to what you value. because
Yeah,
for me, if a man doesn't value my dreams, that's a big L for me because I got a lot of dreams. But he might be like, I can give you the other 5, but the
and
dreams when
see,
I don't live in the clouds. I live right
and
now.
to me, those intertwine though. Like if somebody says like, okay, I got the finances, I'm gonna be like, okay, well, did you go the college route or did you do the entrepreneur thing? And if so, let me know your mindset about being an entrepreneur versus the safety and security of, you know, your 9 to 5. You have a 401k. Okay, so your credit ain't good right now. I get you went through some things. It was a pandemic. But, you know, do I trust you to pay the mortgage or are you going to go blow that, you know, somewhere else at the strip club? You know, those are certain things that's like, okay, I can see how you pay for lunch or you pay for dinner, but the overall circumstances of your finances, and I know I'm not trying to be in anybody's pockets, but it's more so about your mannerisms, the way you handle your career, the way you handle your finances, the way you treat your mama, the way you know, talk to people, the way you have sex. You know, we're gonna talk about it. Let's talk about it. All has to do with the makings of a person and how you coalesce with another individual. And I think that, you know, those 8 things intertwine in a lot of ways. But if it's a girl who's kind of thinking, or a guy that's thinking like, oh, I got this money, I know I could budget 1,000 on her and I'm gonna get her and she's gonna be fine. But it's like, no, like, okay, you got money, I got money, what's up? And then when you talk to them like that and you approach them like that, it's like, oh, so we really gonna get deep. And a lot of times I'm sitting across the table from somebody and they like, dang, I just wanted, you know, some crab cakes.
Number
Now
4.
she want to talk about my childhood. And I'm like, I mean, I'm just here to have a conversation. But I think it's important, you know, overall, like I just try to reiterate, is have conversations with people before you get so far in a relationship and realize like, oh, this ain't it. And people are bound to change. That's why the whole idea of a marriage having a 10-year renewal is something that's like, I see how you could do that, because people are going to constantly change and evolve and go through cycles. And who you are when you first get married is not the same when you have children, because the dynamics change. Before it was just you and this person. Now it's you and 3 little people, and you got to get up and then you don't feel like changing the diapers and you forget to pick the kid up from school. It's a lot that happens, and then parents get older and they pass away, and you deal with a lot as an individual as you're attached to someone and you're expected to go through life with them. But I think you find value in the partnership when you know who you're with and that person knows who they're with. And that doesn't happen if you're not transparent about, hey, like I didn't like what you did, or that threw me off, and if this isn't working out, let's talk about this, or let's decide to part ways amicably before we 20 years in and realize we don't like the person that we're waking up next to, you know?
Wow.
And another piece out of that is, because I love that too. I love that. But
that's on.
A lot of people get caught up in the imagination.
Yeah.
Let's be clear. I've never been married. I don't know. I've never been in certain situations. I've never been privy to that information to know what exactly I might do in every situation when I'm married. But I know myself on a core value level. You get what I'm saying? So it's like so many people get caught up in the imagination of, I don't know if I want to do this because what if this happened? Because what if that happened? And what if he do this? And what if I do that? And it's like, just calm down. Nothing's even happened yet. You don't even know. You're only imagining what you think might happen, and it's stopping you from making a forward decision. If I'm the same person in 10 years that I am right now, I am doing life completely wrong, in my opinion. I don't aim to be the same. Every day I wake up, I aim to grow, and I would just hope. And I think that that's where the spiritual piece on being married to someone, you can only just hope that who God has ordained to be in your life. I wake up there a lot of days and be like, God, is anybody or anything that's in my life right now that's distracting me from what you have for me to do? I need you to remove it out of my life. And I have those kind of conversations with God. And God, anybody that comes into my life, I'm praying, Lord, show me some things through my spiritual eye. Show me some things that I might not be able to see with my physical eye on this person's character, who they are at their core, who they are in depth as opposed to just the shiny objects, the smoke and mirrors that are based on, if he got money now, he gonna have money in 10 years. That ain't how it's always gonna work, you know?
Right.
So that's all I say is it's just allowing a lot of room for grace, for change, but also prayer that if someone does enter into your life, even if it's just a friend, that you'll have the discernment and the character, and that spiritual piece to say, I know this is not what God has for me because I'm moving in a different direction. Or praying and being like, God, show me out of these 8 things, which one of the 5 are going to be the most important to me in my journey that I'm on. That's my piece.
I love that.
Very good.
Yeah, I mean, it just kills me. People are always just like, I don't want to get married because I'm like, you've never even done it. It's like being like, I don't like the roller coaster. You never even got on the roller coaster.
You know, when you think about though, like this whole Will and Jada thing, right? I saw somebody talk about like, why would I get married? I think it was the rapper Wale. He was like, why would I get married? Will and Jada have been married all these years, and you see how they turning out, or how things are going, or the conversations that's happening on Red Table. So, you know, it makes it harder in today's times to aspire to marriage, because a lot of times, what do they say? If you live long enough, you'll see the heroes become the villains, or something like that. And that's a tough pill to swallow. Because I used to be like, I want that Jada and that Will. Do I really want that Jada and that Will?
That's people business.
Well, listen, I mean, I think if we're really honest, at some point we've all been the villain in somebody's story. I think a lot of times people aren't told what to really look for, so they can make informed decisions. You know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying? I know we're wrapping up, but I think this is a good time to insert this. Like, I was told by a very, very wise woman, when I asking her about what to look for in a mate. She told me that first, you need to assess whether she's clear on your mission and what you're trying to do in your life, and is she availing herself and all that she has to help you get there. And this is for men choosing women. Secondly, how does she handle relationships, her tenured relationships? So her family and her close friends, how does she handle those? And what is she telling you about those? Does she do little conniving things? Does she manipulate things? This is all showing you how she's going to handle things in your space. Also, does she have an accommodating spirit and a can-do attitude? You know what I'm saying? Is she willing to step up to things and really help move things along? So that's like 3 things. That's 3 good ones right there. I think that's enough. So I just wanted to insert those, you know.
I think it's great for us to wrap up with the fact that the best advice that our male got was from a woman. And on that note, everyone, this has been another episode of Single in the City. Thank you so much for joining us. I am your host, Tiara Perry. I have my lovely co-host here, Genesis. And thank you so much, Justin, for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me, ladies.
It was great.
Appreciate it.